And what's up, everybody? I'm back with another video game review, and today we're reviewing another GBA game, Lion King 1.5, released I think in 2004, 2003-ish, again on the Game Boy Advance, which I played backwards compatibility with my DS Lite. And as always, thank you to Jeffofthemellows for letting me borrow this game, giving me the chance to play it. So thank you. But this is it's based off the movie Lion King 1.5, which I always forget exists. And honestly, I forgot it exists before I saw this game. But I don't think I've ever actually sat down and watched the movie before. But maybe I have. I don't know. But regardless, though, got some thoughts on this game, so let's jump right into it, shall we? And if you saw my Lion King review from the original game in 1994, you'll know that my experience with this game, not great. So I was really hoping that they didn't continue that trend of making this game as difficult as possible so that people actually end up purchasing the game instead of renting it. Because holy moly, that was difficult. Thankfully, though, this game does not fit under that category. It's definitely not as difficult, but also not as elaborative. I mean, I thought the graphics were still pretty good for the times. I mean, it was kind of catching up at that point with the GBA and all the DS or even GameCube graphics and whatnot. But it's still okay. It's not a terrible look for the game. So that's pretty good. But not really a huge deal. But glad that they made it look good. In my game specifically, there's a lot of weird text. Like weird language text. I couldn't understand it. I looked around in the game for a language setting and options. It didn't. How do I explain it? I don't know what it was. I honestly just think the language was switched, but I couldn't find anything to switch the language of the game. I just kind of dealt with it. It wasn't a big deal. Just kind of did that. It might have just been my copy too. I don't know if everybody's copy looks like that. But if it does, let me know in the comments below if it does, because I'm actually quite intrigued with that. Another thing I really liked was the little movie clips that you get. They're very short, and they're really just there to segue into the next segment of the game with the next set of levels. But I thought it was good. It's just cool that they included that, and it's just a nice little touch that I'm glad they put in there. It seems like most licensed movie games from that time included that. Finding Nemo included it too, which I thought was really, really cool. So. And this game is all about Timon and Pumbaa, and then going through their levels, and then the game. There's no real thing else. You start off, some of them are individually, you just do Timon or just Pumbaa, but most of them are with them together, and there's a lot of co-op that you got to do together to work them. You got to do part of it with Timon, and then stop and then do stuff with Pumbaa to get Timon farther, and then Timon's got to do stuff to get Pumbaa farther. But sometimes they typically work together as one. You're riding Pumbaa with Timon and going through the level. And I think the game does a good job of having them work together, in my opinion. It's not, I think they do a good job. That's what I'm going to say. I think they do a good job. It's not always perfect. But they do a good job of making sure that you can get to a point where one of them is going to be safe from any attacks from enemies, so you can get the other one up to that point. And they do a good job of making it so that they have to work together, in my opinion. And you got to work through them together. But it's not super drawn out. It's not super elaborate. I think it's just the right amount, in my opinion. So I like that. And speaking of the levels, they're pretty short, but there's a lot of them, and I think they have a lot of good stuff in them too. A lot to collect with the bugs, and there's a lot to see in the levels. And the only thing that really annoyed me about the levels is you'll go through some parts of the levels and you won't even notice that this is an area where you can take damage, and it's sometimes hard to see if you are going to take damage. And there's some parts where sometimes it looks like you can jump here, but you can't. You gotta find everywhere around. This is mostly a problem with the when Timon is riding Pumbaa and they're running together in the really more fast-paced levels in the game. I saw it as a couple problems with like they work together but separately, but mostly with the riding levels was the big problem where you just be running and there's just stuff just dropping out of the sky and there's really no way to avoid it. You kind of just gotta beeline through it and hope for the best. And you can die pretty quickly, and it's just, yeah, that part was just a little annoying to me, but to be honest, it's not that big a deal. So overall, though, I did think this was the better Lion King platformer out of the two that I played because of the fact that it just was more of what you would expect from Lion King. Hakuna Matata, no worries here, okay? Don't gotta worry, it's a little bit more of a laid-back experience, and I think that's what you need from a game like this. So, doesn't mean the first one's bad, they just really developed it wrong. So, yeah. That's going to do it for this review. If you've ever played Lion King 1.5, I'd love to know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. But what do you think of the movie? Is it like a good adaptation of the movie? Is the movie worth watching? I want to know. And what about that language thing? Is there a problem thing with that? You can fix that? I gotta know. But that's also going to do it for this video. So stay tuned for much more amazing content, including more game reviews and other awesome stuff. Until next time, see you guys later. Goodbye.